Do not consume any alcohol. All types of alcohol, including red wine, is going to increase
your risk of cancer. So that video was from a cancer dietitian talking about things that she no longer consumes or does not consume as a cancer dietitian due to the fact that they increase your risk of cancer, as well as excess calories, your risk of weight loss, all kinds of other issues that the standard American diet gives you. So that particular one was about alcohol, processed meats, red meat that's cooked in flames directly. There was a few other things. But why am I filming this video lying in bed? Well, it's because I have no choice and I can't really do anything except get out of this bed for small amounts of time throughout the day. Why is that? Because I didn't take care of myself. The title of this video is Please Take Care of Yourself. So the reason I'm in this position, in this situation as what I thought was a more or less healthy 35-year-old was because I have not been taking care of myself. I've been subscribed to this like go, 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 accomplish, 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 don't take breaks kind of mentality, which is good. And momentum is very powerful when you're trying to accomplish things. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not listening to your body, if you're not maintaining this one thing that you get and you only get one, it does break down, and sometimes abruptly and sometimes very painfully. So, story time. Why am I in this bed? That's in my guest room of all places, not even in my normal bedroom. Well, because I sprained my back. Why did I sprain my back? Because I have not been stretching. I have not been walking. I've been eating a inflammatory diet. I have not been hydrating, and I've basically been taking all of this for granted. And my body let me know very painfully, very debilitatingly, at like a very inopportune time. So this particular time, contributing factors were all those things I just told you, as well as I had a session with my trainer and we did deadlifts and they were quite heavy, heavier than I've gone in a long time. I didn't stretch beforehand much. I didn't stretch afterwards. And then the 2 days following that, I didn't walk. I didn't really do cardio. I didn't exercise. I didn't stretch. I didn't do anything that would take care of me. I didn't sleep a whole lot. And then the following morning, I did jujitsu, which, if anybody knows what that is, you put yourself in all kinds of weird contortions and your back is flexed and extended under strain and all kinds of stuff. And I actually felt fine. And again, didn't really stretch much beforehand, didn't stretch afterwards, was not very hydrated, did not sleep well. It was early in the morning. It was a 6 a.m. class. And then that was actually fine. It felt great until about half an hour later when I was at home and I went to go pick something up off the floor. I bent down and that's when, boom, immediately. 10 out of 10, excruciating low back pain. Feels like something snapped, even though I know something really doesn't. It's a muscle strain, ligament sprain, or reverse those actually. But either way, it's a really bad sprain. But if anyone's ever had a really bad debilitating back sprain or, a slip disc, anything else, any sort of back injury, you know that you are debilitated. You're on the floor. You can't get up off the floor because the spazzing will start all over again. That pain will bring you right back down to the floor and make you just find whatever position you possibly can on your back, on your side, whatever it may be, to just make the pain hopefully go away. And then once the pain goes away, you kind of inch yourself up closer to like standing or at the very least like in a different position. And sometimes it doesn't work. It spazzes. You get right back flat on the floor. And sometimes you're able to get up. And it's this really, really annoying, debilitating situation that makes you realize, shoot, I have been doing something wrong. I have not been taking care of myself. Could I have just blamed, the two things that were different that week, like heavy deadlifts and then jujitsu? Yeah, probably, but it's not those two things. People do those things. People in their 40s, 50s, 60s do those things, and they don't have this happen. Why did this happen to me? Well, because I have not been taking care of myself. I have not been walking. Walking is probably the biggest thing that can extend your life. It's that low level cardio. It's everything moving because we're designed to walk, guys. Our bodies are designed to walk. So, walking, you notice that the countries with the most centenarians, there's someplace in the Cinque Terre in Italy that has like some of the most centenarians, people living over 100. And then Japan, people walk everywhere. People walk everywhere in these places that people live the longest and they're the happiest and the healthiest for the longest. They walk everywhere. They have unprocessed foods. They spend their time and effort making food from clean ingredients that they know where they came from. They cook themselves. They spend time with their families. Their families help cook and then they eat together. They have that whole thing. They have low stress because of those things. They walk everywhere, sometimes uphill. And that's literally it. Like the secret to living a long, healthy, happy life is literally that simple. But in America, we have forgotten that. We drive everywhere. We sit. We have processed foods that came from God knows where. We don't spend the time to make these things. We don't spend time making our food from ingredients that we know where they came from. We just hustle and bustle and hustle and bustle into the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, where you're sitting, sitting, sitting. And, if you push yourself in any way, shape, or form, like I did this week, that kind of lifestyle will break you, literally. And, from this experience, a couple of different things. One, I have a tremendous amount of compassion for people dealing with back pain, much more so than I did before. Now, I've had this happen before, maybe not this bad, but anyone who's, active, you lift weights, you play sports, you have this happen once in a while. So it's not anything that, I didn't know about, but just people coming to me with back pain, having experienced this, I realize that it's a much bigger deal. Not just, NSAIDs, rest, ice, the end. Well, sometimes you can't. You have to call off work to rest. And if your family's counting on you, you kind of can't do that. You sometimes to rest, just to get into bed, you can't even do that. Like the whole reason I'm in my guest room, is because the bed is higher off the floor than my normal bed. So like right here, this bed, it's pretty high off the floor, so I was able to get into it and rest. And that's made a huge difference. But my bed, it's kind of low to the floor. And so when I tried to get in it, as soon as I sat down like 1 inch, my back spazzed and seized up. And I ended up on the floor of my bedroom, not being able to get up for over an hour. I was laying there, first on my side, then flat, then back on my side, just trying to get the spazzing to stop. And once it did, I started to slowly just kind of try to inch my way upwards, first to my knees, and then sure enough, it came right back to the floor because it spazzed. And then just using my upper body, just pulling myself up through like my nightstand and things that were a little bit higher. Eventually, I was able to get to my knees, and then after a long time more, eventually to my feet. And finally was able to stand long enough to like get downstairs and do some stuff. So there was that. Also, yesterday I tried to go to work after this happened. And that was stupid. I was bent over like this, walking like an old man. Everybody at work was making fun of me, which it was all in good fun. They weren't being mean about it. But after a couple hours, I was able to get some work done. I was able to see some patients. But then trigger warning, kind of gross, but I was trying to go to the bathroom, and I was number 2. And so I tried to sit down on the toilet, and just like sitting on my bed, like just that action of trying to sit down a little bit, my back seized up, and I found myself laying on my side and then on my back on the floor of a public restroom in an urgent care. Just trying to think about all the germs, trying not to think about all the germs and all the crap that was there, and just like how gross it is to be laying on your side and on your back on the floor of an urgent care public bathroom. And then what I was able to do was, the only thing that was high enough for me to brace myself on was a trash can. So as gross as that is, I had to use my hands, my forearms, my face, and my head to kind of leverage myself against this trash can in an urgent care public bathroom to try to stand up to my feet to get out of there. And that process took over an hour. And everybody was like, we should have checked on you. Like, we didn't know why you were in there for so long. Well, that's why I was in there for so long. I couldn't stand up. So this whole thing just gives me so much more compassion for people dealing with this, because thank God, at least I have the upper body strength to lift myself up, not using my back, not using my legs very much. But like a senior citizen who falls to the floor and they're stuck on the floor and they literally can't get up no matter what they do. They can't go eat, drink, use the bathroom, even maybe get to their phone. They're stuck. It's a crazy thing to imagine, but it's something I experienced. Is you're stuck. You're stuck on the floor of your house, not being able to move. And it is such a crazy situation to find yourself in as a healthy 35-year-old person. And I can only imagine as like an 80-year-old person who's got less body, upper body strength, doesn't have their phone within reach, like that could be deadly. I can't even imagine. And then the whole day, of course, I was very afraid of dropping my phone, because if I drop it, I can't bend over to pick it up, or my back will seize up and I'll be on the floor, right back at square one. I couldn't get ice for my back because my freezer is on the bottom shelf and I couldn't get it. Couldn't really get most of my food because it's in the freezer. Like, whew. Take care of yourselves, guys. Take care of yourselves. Get good food. Eat good food. If you're realizing that you're a little bit kind of reaching your limit, take a break. Stop. Drink some water. Take a day off. You got to take care of this machine because you only get one.